Alright, so about 7 years ago, in 2017, I made this plant stand for my partner. It is impractically narrow at, 7 inches or so, and impractically tall at almost 2 feet. We made this before we had a kid, and things were a little less hectic. Sitting atop it was a small fake plant. And recently my dog decided to crash into this, knocking it over, breaking the pot into a few pieces and making this very wobbly to the point where, some of the legs are just coming off. So this week I'm going to repair this. Before it was just put on with notches and glue. I think I'm going to put some sort of dowel in there to keep it in there a little bit better. And then this pot is worth nothing, but I figured rather than buy a new one, I would repair it with some epoxy and some gold leaf. I've never done this before, so I figured it could be a fun experiment or an interesting failure. So let's give it a shot. So the first thing I did with this pot was spray it with a little polyurethane. I don't know how much it's going to stain the epoxy into this. It looks like it's painted, so I'm guessing it's not actually going to stain that much. And who knows, maybe I'll have to kind of give it a quick sand if the epoxy bleeds out a little bit more than I was expecting it to. It goes together like that. It's laid out. This is a 5-minute set time, so I have to keep an eye on the clock while I do this. This is a great 2-part clear epoxy. Just cracks off like that. Doesn't hurt to read the instructions. Mix for 20 seconds until uniform. I usually like to pull these back a little bit so there's no back pressure, making it leak out all over the place. I should probably wear gloves. Alright, it's getting pretty homogeneous at this point. So that may have been too much gold schmutz, but we're just gonna go for it. Try to get a little compression in with this tape. Alright. Now I just gotta let that cure overnight. And we'll see if it held together in the morning, and we'll see if it looks at all interesting. Alright, it's been a day. Wow, this tape already even was taking the paint off of this. So we're definitely going to need to find a way to refinish this. A little chunkier than I thought it was, but it's glued. It's not falling apart. Yeah, let's get more aggressive. Before I lacquer it. Alright, the next thing we gotta do is shorten this because this is far too tall to be a reasonable thing for someone to use. So, let's see if these legs come off. Alright, and I also want to resand all this. The yellowness of this maple is not doing it for me. So for this one, I'm going to end up doing a screw with glue, and then I'm going to sink in a maple dowel to cover up that screw. I'm doing this so that I don't really have to clamp it and that the screw does most of the holding. Finally, the glue will be the one doing the long-term holding, and the dowel hides the fact that I used a screw, which is shameful for a woodworker. So I'm gonna get that started. First things first is to use a Forstner bit, the same size as the dowel, and sink those holes, and then I'll pre-drill in the legs and I'll pre-drill in the body as well. Right now I'm breaking the edge of the leading edge of the dowel so that it goes into the hole a little bit better. Alright, I'm going to finish this with some water-based wipe-on poly. I think this will keep it pretty close to the blonde color it is now without going too yellow. So let's give that a shot. Alright, next thing we'll do is a little quick sand since this rose the grain a little bit, and then do one more coat. Alright, one last coat, should be good. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week.